Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to a battle of the ages, a titanic clash as Wagon coming from down under, are going up against the young upstarts GRUT from the Netherlands. I am Lorca Murray. I am joined by Keith Rayner, but you don't care about that. You're here for action, and let me promise you, there will be plenty of it here today as Wagon starting on offense, going from right to left in the dark jerseys. Smooth, flowing play down the pitch, something that has earned them a second place in their group as they continue to just dish it back and forth wonderfully and make it look like easy work, as that is Courtney Party getting the score.
Quick, efficient Wagon hold to start. The Australians coasting down the field, moving the disc quickly and using those final quick throws to punch right into the end zone and through the root defense.
So Wagon unfazed by the athleticism of GRUT, and they are well studied coming into this match. I was speaking with their captain just before the game, Tim Levis, and he was saying how there is so much film available about this European side. They were able to study their offensive form and come up with a few defensive strategies to try and contain.
You can see a lot of players on the field, almost the whole roster, kneeling to talk through defensive strategy for Wagon. They have some points to make as they're going to attack this GRUT defense.
So Wagon out of Newcastle in Australia booked a place to World, the second place finish behind Friskies.
3, 2,
They have a lot of very talented players. They dismissed Vanguard in the previous round 15-9, while GRUT, being led here by Lauko van der Wieden, who collects the pole and immediately sends it to Jared Ates.
Zone defense from Wagon, looking to slow down the athleticism and deep shots of GRUT.
Their standable incentive. Now we see Jan Jansen moving quickly with the disc in the middle of the pitch. Normally a cutter, but you can see how comfortable he is in all kinds of positions. Jared sends that one down the line. Well brought in by Jan Jansen, but unfortunately she puts that out of the reach of Floor Coulertz. And now Wagon with the opportunity for a break. They go immediately deep. It's a huge arcing shot, but it's perfectly weighted and comfortably taken in by Chris Hill. 2-0 to Pi.
A fast start for Wagon. They didn't waste any time pouncing on that GRUT mistake. A shot sent to the end zone and hauled in. Great separation by the receiver. And Robbie Bukalius able to get there. Throw from Tim Lindsey Brown. Chris Hill, excuse me, on the catch.
Chris Hill, very speedy. A man who they normally rely on to shut down some of the major offensive threats that Wagon come up against. This time showing just what he can do with the quick hit in the opposite direction. Very much of a light breeze, but I wouldn't really consider it an upwind, downwind game, would you, Keith?
Not yet. We've seen the wind vary from round to round and sometimes mid-round, so that may change. Today's winds, when they have been blowing, going mostly from left to right on your screen, maybe a little bit towards the far cone. But right now, mostly still, which means it's hot. And GRUT now in a hole.
Well, they've frequently found themselves in that position so far this tournament. Can they hold their nerve? They've been in elimination mode since Sunday evening. A mentality that may serve them well as this game goes on. Jan Jansen quickly moving. You can see Wagon staying there in the zone. Not that Jan cares, he immediately launches it deep.
A jump ball from Jansen, batted away by the Wagon defense, who is feeling themselves right now.
They certainly look strong out there. Excellent defensive coverage from Pi. As now we see them looking for their second break and the opportunity to start this game in a stellar 3-0 fashion. Comfortably played down to Holly Reeve, who immediately sends it. She's a chucker. We've got Patty and Coulertz underneath it, and Coulertz collects, as she so frequently does on European soil. A reputation she's building here in America too. Van der Wieden, middle of the pitch. The steadying offensive force of GRUT. Tjeerd Ates wastes no time himself, launches it deep. Van der Wieden's underneath it. But there is the incredibly impressive defense from Pi Wagon. I believe that was Patty again? No, Holly Reeve. Forgive me, a fantastic player, both sides of the disc, making up for her missed deep shot.
Yeah, Reeve making an athletic play to get to that first.
And now deciding to go on the receiving end. Well, it seems like we've got a little bit of a gunsling right now as there are shots going in either direction. Alerts disc in the middle of the pitch, Jan Jansen. We've seen him look deep several times already. Slightly more conservative, throwing it to his sister. Sorry, Walt Jansen to Jan Jansen. Now, Lauko van der Veen. And then again, Jansen, Walt. Down the line to Floor. And Floor pops it to Tjeerd, some quick conservative offense when the deep shots weren't working. 2-1.
A much needed hold for GRUT, and they did it without the huck, which has betrayed them a little bit to start this game. See, Alerts with the outside in forehand, and brought in by the man who got the D, Ates.
As the Juggernaut coach said to me yesterday, a little bit of a Euro flick. A term I'm not sure is going to catch on outside of the Southern Hemisphere. In the opening game of today for GRUT, when they're playing their way into this particular matchup, they went up against Filipinas, coming out of the Philippines. And they had a very similar start, shaky, a lot of deep shots, not all of them connecting. They do not get deterred from that offensive option. This time they go with the conservative one to punch the score in, but don't expect them to turn away from the long game.
Oh, they've got some big time athletes who can go and get the disc out of the air, and they trust that they can win those one-on-one matchups. So you may see them reframe where those hucks are coming from, who they're going to, how the offense is organized, but don't expect to see them just turn into a dump and swing team because of a couple turnovers.
So now we see the captain, Tim Levis, for Pi Wagon, collecting it and centering it into the middle. Stoddard plays it to the sideline. Levis now collecting it. He initially started on D-line. And you can see that why they moved him to O-line. That's a fantastic shot. Lots of hang. And a brilliantly taken down catch, despite the intensive defensive pressure.
Well executed by Pi Wagon, who's showing they could go toe-to-toe if it's going to be a shootout, as we say in America. And they can match up. Stoddard going up for the dunk against Ort.
A little bit of a posterization. Ort is the resident, I suppose, Skyman, for lack of a better term, on this team. Not to be confused with Flying Dutchman, which would be Bastien de Jong. But Stoddard showing he is every inch, or even a few more in this instance, the match to Ort. This is quite the comfortable and confident start for Pi Wagon.
Absolutely, and I think it's hard not to look at this GRUT team without thinking about how different this experience has been than I think a lot of pundits had expected. This was a young team with a lot of exciting players and some success during the season that I think led a lot of people to believe that they were one of the top candidates to challenge the North American teams for mixed supremacy. However, the weekend hasn't gone as they planned, and this Pi Wagon team looks like they're not planning on backing down just because the hype train was behind GRUT.
No, they're certainly looking to bring that to a crashing halt and derail what has been a little bit of a resurgence by GRUT in recent games, whereas Pi Wagon have had, for all intents and purposes, a very successful run so far. They only suffered one loss, and that came understandably to the hands of USA's BFG. It's now GRUT on offense. Menard. It's back to Ates. To Menard. Pi Wagon sticking with this zone as Ates and Menard work together. Van der Wieden getting ever so slightly involved. They have Jan Jansen out on the far sideline. Ates decides not to go to her quite yet. As we see Pi Wagon turning in themselves back into a match defense, but enjoying to poach. As Kalertz disc in the middle of the pitch. We know she likes to sling it, but instead opting for the easier option. Ates. Going down through the middle, and Jansen He has Leninga going deep, but he decides against it. Perhaps somewhat holding back after the earlier throwaways. Hansen still pointing where he wants people to go. Throws it to his sister. Jan. Glertz. Childhood school friends. Van der Wieden. He had the up the line initially and stopped, almost giving his defender a chance to catch up. As Jansen comes back, pops it to Van der Wieden, who goes for a big arcing blade with Jansen and nobody else anywhere near him. 3-2.
I haven't seen a game with this many deep shots, I don't think yet. Certainly not with this sort of rate. And another one going up from Van der Wieden. Plenty of room for Jansen to go get it. And one of the, it was hard for me to take my eyes there off the matchup between Glertz and Holly Reeve, who maybe Glertz's equal in athleticism. Reeve giving very little room to Glertz, and she's a key part of this Glertz offense. So if Reeve is able to continue to take Glertz out of powerful positions, Reeve is going to be able to help her team's defense be successful.
I am interested to see how long Reeve can pull double duty. So far in this tournament, she has been called upon time and again on their O-line to provide the necessary cuts and initiation with that athleticism you're speaking about. It appears now they recognize that they need some of their best and quickest athletes to shut down GRUT. So they've moved her on to the D, as now we see Wagon, who it must be said have looked more comfortable with disc in hand so far in terms of their O-line. Jess Stoddard, comfortable flowing across. Greening, the offensive captain for Wagon. It's now going for the quick pop. There seems to be a momentary pause. Ryan Davey forced to get that one back. Stephen Dallywater eventually able to get it to Davey. Another leader for this Wagon offense. So right now they are really using everybody. That beautiful inside break that served them so well on the initial point. As Wagon sweeping down the pitch. Folks pops it back. Davey. Folks. And he goes for the perfect dump swing, but unfortunately puts it outside of the stretching cuticles of Eliza Greening.
Just the third turnover of the game for Wagon. See how they respond here as the O-line's forced to go out there and play some defense.
So GRUT with the opportunity to close the gap, make up for that initial misstep. Starting off on their own end zone corner. And it's another big shot. We know they love to do it, especially when Dam is underneath. But once again, Wagon are able to athletically match GRUT. Not something they're too familiar with. Fantastic effort by Courtney Patty.
Yeah, if GRUT's expecting Wagon to just give this to them, they've got another thing coming.
So now Davey again picking up the disc, gets another look in. Long full. Inside! A tasty inside break, well taken in by Greening, who just seems to be getting free at will. Ben Ort with a big block. He's built a reputation on those kinds of plays, and he calls a timeout. Not quite as well known for his presence of mind, shall we say, as we will take a quick break. The score's at 3-2. Keep it here for Ulti World, as it will only get better. Welcome back. I hope you didn't miss us, and trust us, you didn't miss any of the action, as here comes Benjamin Ort sending it to Dam. He got a big layout block, and now he's looking to finish it. Comfortably takes that one and decides against the pop in instead, swinging it around. We see GRUT playing here with a quick ferocity, but tempered as they go for the hammer over the top. It's well thrown by Steneker and comfortably taken in by Ort, tying it up at 3-3.
Necessary break there for GRUT. Able to take that short field opportunity, come out of the timeout and execute effectively the hammer over the top we see. And Ort gets the bookends, a tempting target for any thrower.
It can be difficult to resist that lanky figure as it goes deep, but it must be said, when faced in front of the end zone, GRUT were able to take care of business comfortably. So they tie it back up 3-3. Wagon did start this game on offense. That inherent advantage still there.
Which corner is corner 2 and which is corner 3?
And now things coming back to balance here. Wagon's offense yet to face much adversity, but this may change how they approach this game now that they're seeing some fire from the GRUT defense.
And it's interesting you'd say that, Keith, and it is quite true. Wagon have been enjoying we shan't say leisurely, but a dominating performance in almost every one of their games, apart from the game against BFG. They had a universe matchup against Vulture, and won every other game by at least 5 points. GRUT, on the other hand, have been experiencing somewhat of a baptism of fire here at the highest stage, which may stand them as the game wears on. As here we see Wagon coming forward. Davis playing it down the line. Reeve, so difficult to contain. An unenviable challenge. Back in the middle to Levis, who swings it across comfortably. Gina Hill, but that one just outside of her intended receiver's reach. And GRUT with the opportunity to come back down the pitch and take the lead for the first time in this game.
Wagon experiencing the type of struggles their offense had been devoid of in the first couple points.
Nina Royce tries to go with the inside break to Lola Dan, but puts it too far in front of her, and then Levis, showing off that defensive acumen that he would put him on the D-line initially. Well, now he's comfortably back on the offense. Stoddard gets it down. Folks. He has Levis. He also has Reeve. As Wagon methodical in their approach this time around. Stoddard plays it down the line. Hill. She has someone to the front corner. She doesn't like it. Levis goes up the line, but nothing really becoming available. Forced to drop it back. Levis looks for the swing. Not quite able to get there in time. Instead, just revolving it back around. Comfortable offense. Just Stoddard sends it to Folks. Folks in the front corner. Bassent Young is opposite number, marking him. Levis was able to go up the line, but there does appear to be a call from Mark Globe.
Take a look at the players discussing up the line. Levis, a little bit of contact, but he and Globe. Let's take another look at the cut. Levis, a little bit of contact, but to me that feels like a play that Levis made within the rules. But leave it to the players to figure out.
I could earn a few enemies back home by getting involved in these kinds of calls, and it is taking every ounce of my self-control and limited professionalism to stay subjective, objective even.
Let's listen in.
Make sure it doesn't touch the scaffold.
All right, so her perspective was that she felt there was contact before the cut.
Yes, my position is that I
So
started
yes.
the cut and I felt like a step across in an arm that I then swung through. So
I say when my call says we can just.
All right, so we'll send it back, contest. And was there a stall count? Sorry, what's the call count?
comes in on 3.
Saying stalling 3?
Understandably well-spirited from a team who have got excellent scores so far in Wagon. As now Folks was under a lot of pressure from the force of De Jong. And in the end, he is unable to get it across to Reeves. So now here comes GRUT. Back in the opposite direction, looking for a break. Sends it down to Lola Dam. There is a pick call.
GRUT with the red zone turnover forced on defense now. So a chance to try and punch in what will be a pretty emphatic score after a break on the previous point.
They were able to shut down Wagon in that corner. Now let's see if they're able to cash in on their hard work. Nicely played down the line by Steneker, and De Jong immediately launching that one all the way to the break side, chasing it down comfortably. for the score, Marcia Kulin.
That is a spectacular throw from De Jong.
They're taking it. They're
Just
taking timeout.
putting it inside out, cross field, but still with the touch to keep it in bounds as it gets in front of his target. Look at the angle here that he's throwing to. And Reef, who's proven an athletic defender, not able to catch up. So De Jong even putting it past her.
I think you have to keep in mind how athletic Reeve is when you are throwing to the women she is marking. He knew he had to put that break side. He knew he had to give Kulin as much time and as much space to get her body in the way of Reeve, because if you don't do those two things, that woman is going to come through and get a block, as proven by her stellar performance when going up against Kullerts earlier in this game.
Timeout on the field by Wagon. Had a chance to gush about Holly Reeve, all of 19 years old. The still teen from Sydney, showing off her athleticism in this game, and looks like she will be a critical member of this Wagon team if they want to move on here. And it's compiled 6 assists and 3 goals, playing both ways at points for Wagon. The winner of this game, of course, will advance. They'll play against the winner of Voltaje and I believe
Wild card.
Wild card, right? Yes, wild card. So a chance to compete against the best on the line for teams that I believe fancy themselves as elite.
It is interesting enough that these two teams should meet here, and the teams that potentially wait for them, as Wagon were in the pool with Voltaje and were able to get by them 15-14. And in obviously the opening game of this tournament, GRUT famously fell 15-14 to Wildcard.
A bit poetic if you get to see the rematch of either of those pair of teams, considering how close their previous matchups were.
And everything is getting closer as we ourselves get closer to the end of this tournament. Tantalizing matchups across the board. We see Levis with the disc. Fed to him by Stoddard as he sends it down the line to Davey, the man who so frequently leads their offense. And he's put an absolute peach all the way down the pitch to the streaking Patty. Now that is pretty.
That's a good way to get back on balance. A gorgeous put. A peach, I believe you called it. And I'm from here in the United States, in Georgia, which is a state known for its peaches. So I'm happy to call a beautiful throw from Davies a peach. So it drops right in.
Well, you could call it a pie. You could call it a cake. Patty is going to eat it up all day with her speed and ability to get on the end of those kinds of throws.
So that makes this one 4-4. And I don't usually break in with score updates just out of the blue, but this one's worthy of attention. Right now, Free Speed with an 8-7 lead on Revolver in the men's division. The invincible Revolver, the #1 seed in the men's division, trailing at halftime. Keep your eyes on that one if you want to keep updated with everything going on here. ultiworld.com/live, or you can check us out at Twitter, Ultiworld and Ultiworld Live. Keep you updated.
That is a powerful performance from the Swiss, providing a momentary distraction, but we've got plenty of action here. It's all tied up at 4-4 as Lauco van der Wieden waits under the disc and feeding chair dates. That is. Back to van der Wieden. Waiting. He looks so calm with the disc in hand. Deceptively so, as he is firing with his options. Ates, known as Grandpa due to the fact that he is the oldest member of the team.
And we get treated to more of this Kullerts and Reeve matchup, the teenage phenoms chasing each other around the field.
And that will be something to enjoy all game long. As now we see Janssen hooking up with her brother, who immediately launches it deep. He's got van der Wieden underneath it, but van der Wieden, I thought he would bid. He did not have to. The throw was good enough. Now in isolation, tries to go with the dishy high release backhand over the top, and it is well taken in by Leninga. That is Iris Leninga, one of two sisters on this team.
Well, good response there from Ruud. Just great separation there from Vanderveden. Just outrunning his person, and then holds the high release backhand to direct traffic. Mark does not react at all, and so he says, I'll just leave it over here and drop it off from a teammate.
Well, I am nowhere near as well versed a coach as you, but something I have always believed and taught is that you take what is given to you. And of course then, if you can, you take what you can get away with.
Absolutely, and getting away with a big shot here. Again, we'll see that high release offered and accepted. Deep game still a key factor for these two teams, but GRUT's starting to show their ability to execute in the red zone, and that could be a big help in navigating the defense here.
So GRUT 5-4 up after starting the game on defense. If they can maintain this advantage through until the second half, they'll be able to cash it in for the extra point. As now we see Wagon coming down at them. We know they will not make it easy, as they have been rock steady all week long, although as soon as I say it, I seem to put a curse on them. It's coming back for a foul, uncontested. It would be unlike folks to be that inaccurate.
So horizontal stack from Wagon up ahead of folks.
You can see Greening waiting to try and attack that under. That's some fantastic shutdown defense by GRUT. In the end, they're able to get it off to Levis. Lovely little dump cut and a predictive throw back into the middle. Waiting there, Davey. Lays down the line to Folks, who immediately launches it deep himself for a bit of a battle downfield. Although that one seemed to come down rough. Stephen Dallywater going up high, but he seemed to jar his body as he landed.
Dallywater in pain right now. Let's see if we can see what might have happened here on this attempted catch from Dallywater. He was tended to.
I thought it was a shoulder, not like a knee or something.
See again, that shot goes up, and Dallywater just a little bit of contact on the play through, totally unintentional. Hits his legs, so Dallywater off balance and puts his arms out to brace him as he falls, and that jarring force causing some damage potentially to an part of the upper body.
I apologize, as I got a second look at that. I personally experienced something similar before, and when your body is unable to absorb any of that kind of shock, it shoots right through you. So now we just wait for assistance to come to Dallywater.
Unfortunate now for Wagon to run into issues like this. Obviously, you never want to run into injury in games, but difficult to deal with. It's an uncontrollable, but Wagon seemed like they were starting to get a little bit of a rhythm going. Dallywater clearly a key part of their deep attack, which has been really the focal point of this game so far. Hoping he will come out okay. There's good medical staff here, although we don't know if they've been contacted. All we can do is speculate from our canopy.
Well, if we could momentarily change topic and speculate on some of the other games that are currently going on and those that have been decided. This, of course, in the round of 32. Sorry, the round of 16. The winner of this will go through. So far, we have Seattle Mixtape and Black Eagles, who will meet later on tomorrow in the round of 16. Slow White will be going up against Frisbee. Frisbee, the Australian national champions, who defeated Wagon in the final of the tournament to qualify. We have GRUT right now playing against Wagon. As we mentioned earlier, wild card going up against Vulture. BFG are taking on Anchor from Canada, while Crash go up against Marvelous DC. On this live stream earlier in the week, we did see Marvelous DC just fall short at the death against Canadians Anchor. I'm sure they might be looking to take out a little bit of retribution on their countrymen in the form of Crash. Marvelous DC putting in a consummate performance in the earlier round against Reading. Going up strong early, Reading coming back. But Marvelous DC were able to win out the game with a 5-1 run. And we have AMP taking on Colorado from Germany, the team named after confectionery. And finally, Haschlicker Erdvierkel, the only undefeated European team left at WUCC, taking on Café du Luida. Café du Luida had a grueling battle against the Canadians' Battleship in the previous round, one I had the pleasure to watch. They went back and forth, single breaks, no one ever really building up a substantial lead. The final point going on for an incredibly long time with several timeouts and calls, something I believe you have some experience of, Keith.
Absolutely. The game prior to this one, a similar affair. Lots of stoppages, lots of intensity, lots of great plays. Hoping we can get more of that type of action on the stream and at this tournament. And with so many great teams left and the pressure mounting with each passing round, I expect we're going to see plenty more drama as the medical staff arrives. In fact, the head of the medical staff, I believe.
Of course, we extend our deepest concerns and best wishes to Dallywater. Protecting him from the sun. As you can see, Wagon and GRUT just having a few conversations with their opposite marks.
Get you some updated scores from games ongoing in the match opposite this one in the bracket. Wildcard on Voltaje, wildcard with an 11-5 lead. So as it stands, the Americans prepared to advance to face the winner of this game. Saskidistis with a 8-6 lead on Russ Mixed. Chucky's and Reading tied at 7-7. Vanguard and Pilipinas similarly tied at 9-9.
Those two teams, the losers against the two we are currently watching. But I'm sure a tantalizing matchup. The physicality of Vanguard, the Australian style, come up against Pilipinas. Somewhat of a surprise.
And still in this bracket, live for a medal, BFG with a 9-4 lead on Anchor. And play will getting ready to resume after the player was removed, and hopefully, as my fellow commentator Lorcan mentioned, best wishes to Dallywater.
It was Chris Stoddard who's come on for the injured Dallywater, as now Ort thinks about lashing it deep but doesn't.
I think he's always thinking about lashing it deep, but just sometimes he throws it.
Yeah, it's an incredibly true statement as he sends this one to Dam, who is able to comfortably take it in. She is having quite the matchup herself against Courtney Patty, coming out on top in this instance.
Ort somehow managing to get that throw off despite being off balance, and it could not be more well struck. Really just a tremendous throw from him, and exactly the kind of reason he has such a reputation. Look at him swing that right leg around, and despite not being on balance, powered it just past the defender, but right into the hands of his receiver, so his receiver doesn't have to make a difficult play, but the defender has no play at all.
Absolutely pin perfect. Something Ort has become well known for is his ability to put touch on blady flicks. That one an awful lot flatter, but still having the necessary curved edge to move it away from Paddy's outstretched hands and into the awaiting ones of Lola Dam.
6 out of 10 scores in this game coming on the long ball, so imagine we'll keep seeing the teams continue to strike deep, see what defenses they can draw up to try and take away the ranging throws and speed of the athletes on the other side.
from speaking with Levis before this game, that'll be Tim Levis, the captain of Wagon. He said that they were going to try and trap GRUT to limit their deep shots. Doesn't seem to be too effective right now, as that one drifts out of bounds and will be taken by Ryan Davey, so frequently at the forefront of this Wagon offense.
Davey, a confident fellow, lively sense of humor, and really polished throws.
As we see Reeve go for the deep shot, edging ever so slightly out of the intended receiver's reach. Chris Stoddard more than willing to lay his body on the line, but that time wasn't able to make up the distance.
Reeve never quite able to get enough loft on this throw as she steps around. Conceptually reasonable, execution slightly off, and that's all it takes.
Now GRUT go the other way, and with the opportunity to really start strangling the life out of this matchup early on. We see Leniga, this time Anika. Something GRUT were guilty of earlier in this tournament was restricting their lines. You can see now they're really trying to use their full squad. A wise decision considering how fewer players they have than Wagon.
Absolutely, it's been a grueling tournament. Even with only 2 games a day and sometimes 3, it is very hot. Points are very difficult, especially as we advance into the bracket.
Anik Leniga to Lola Dam on the sideline. You see Reeve, so young, so bouncy, doing everything she can as they send that one further down the line. Bram Steenhuisen.
Pick call that's going to stop play and send the disc back. Steenhuisen shakes his head. I think he agrees, but frustrated that he couldn't get open without a violation.
As that one is sent back into the middle. Well taken down despite the pressure. Kumans more than even to it. Almost turning Davey around as he puts a big flick up to Dam, and that is a young player coming into his own. Kumans with a fantastic shot to the damn near unstoppable Lola.
What a casual set of moves from Nick Kumans, who delivers a couple of wild fakes, and he looks like a wild man out there with one colored sleeve with patterns and a bucket hat, high socks, but he has the game to back it up. Drops in the outside in edge forehand right to Lola Dam for her 2nd straight goal, and unbelievable after giving up that 0-2 lead. GRUT now has scored 6 of the last 7.
Powering their way back into a commanding position in this game, and I think Wagon were very correct to take this timeout. Not just because GRUT are starting to pull away, but you know the kind of draining emotional effect seeing one of your players, especially when it's a player you rely on as much as Wagon do on the incredible receptions of Dallywater, to just come together, heal a little bit, because that can be very shocking to the system.
So get your couple score updates. Action in the women's division bracket right now. GRUT squad with a 14-9 lead, almost game over against Ellipsis, Wagon's countrymen. Fury with a 9-6 lead on Mud. The Americans lead the Japanese in that matchup. Other games already wrapped up. Unbelievably, Seattle Riot, the American squad, with a 15-3 win over Traffic. That game over before it even started. It's hard to believe it was in the same round as a game that's 9-6 with Fury.
Important to note that we're only 40 minutes into this game, despite the fact it is currently 4:05. Game's really starting to run long as we get into the business end of this tournament. Every game an elimination game.
In the men's division, Revolver still trails Free Speed 11-10. Free Speed leads. We'll get you more updates from the men's division at our next opportune moment, as an inopportune error. Davey dropping the pull.
And that is unfortunate. You could almost see the exact moment his heart broke as he realized his mistake he made. It's never a position you want to be in. There's now Urt in the exact position he wants to be in with Lola Dam directly in front of him. And that's just impossible to stop, even if you do have the defensive capabilities of Patty. What a turnaround. 8-4 they take half, and they will receive the disc at the start of the second half.
Another look as Davey tries to take this one in. It's a low throw that kind of drops at the end, so he has to go to one knee to get it. And then this is just an isolation for one of your best athletes. Damn, a real speedster. No problem for her to win a battle to the front cone, so they just set her up by herself. Tough work for any defender.
So GRUT, after stumbling 2-0, have gone into flying forward, taking the lead 8-4. They are starting to really look like they've rekindled the fire that allowed them to burn their way through Europe. And it seems like they are dead set on a position. So though I imagine the Aussies have a few things left to say about that. We will see what their response shall be when we return after the halftime break.
Is that Revolver again, Coach and Paul? Yep.
Welcome back to the action-heavy Wednesday afternoon here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Mercifully, the crowd, or the clouds, are starting to block the sun, but they are doing nothing to remove the heat from the pitches. As Wagon, starting on defense, look to make a stirring comeback against GRUT. And we have picture-in-picture for you as unexpectedly Frisbee coming out of Switzerland. The Dragons breathing some fire of their own. As we see Reeve get a run through D on Coulert, there's going to be a conversation, so let's move our conversation back to that top left-hand picture screen where Frisbee, the Swiss, are taking on Revolver from San Francisco. And how's it going for him?
Well, Revolver, it's a very tight. Revolver recently taking the advantage, but the #1 overall seed in the men's division, and I think by many counts the most favorite in all three divisions.
As
now in the clutches, the throes of a potential upset.
And Coulert gets a tap back in. Reeve being marked on her. Quite the matchup as Coulert sends that one deep into a huge pile of people, and they all kind of crumple together ever so slightly. I think Wagon fouled each other there a little bit, but it works out okay in the end. I think that was Chris Hill getting a little bit too eager and taking out Liang King. I am being objective for this matchup. I will not be for the Frisbee one, as let's go the Swiss. But the focus is back here. Liang King sends that one along beautifully down the line. Chris Hill goes for a deep shot, but nobody home immediately. They've all had to reposition. It's a jump ball that Jared Ates gets high and gets the crucial touch too.
So out of half, both teams exchanging huck turnovers. And it looks like GRUT looking to isolate Coulert, followed by Janssen. This is the combo they like to rely on. Well defended by Wagon.
Menard with the disc in the middle, sends it through to Leninga. She has Van der Wieden behind her. He makes
timeout in the other game between Revolver and Frisbee, so we're going to remove the picture-in-picture so you can get the full enjoyment of this tremendous match.
As Coulert looks to dump it back to Van der Wieden. He's deep within his own half, but they're happy to keep resetting it as Ates makes a big looping cut back around to support. And he has Janssen in the middle, sends it to her. She surveys, fakes, eventually opting to send it to Menard. Menard with a beautiful inside backhand break. She is well adept and equipped for as Volt Janssen looks to send it to Coulert and does so beautifully with a throw taken right out of the Benjamin Ort playbook.
Lovely throw there by Janssen. Well weighted, outside in, edge just perfectly over the head. Another close one for Reeve. She's in the neighborhood, but the thrower helping take her out of the play and set up Coulert for another score, extending the lead to 9-4. Wagon under the gun now. So take another look here at Revolver and Frisbee coming out of a timeout. Is it possible?
God, I hope so.
14-12 Revolver leading. Can Frisbee make a miraculous comeback that would be etched into the annals of global ultimate history? It sounds grandiose, but I really don't think it is.
Well, it would certainly be something that would stand as the biggest achievement for the European club since the sport first touched down on our elderly shores. As now, Wagon looking to fight their way back into this matchup themselves. And I hope we're not irritating the Aussies by talking about a match we are not currently showing, but you have to understand there's so much action. It's difficult to focus as now Wagon looking to find a focus of their own. Searching, scraping their way back in, tooth and nail. Folks plays it down the line, taken in by Stoddard. He opts to go right back into the middle to Jess Stoddard with a beautiful inside break to Levis, and he floats that one along comfortably to Ryan Davey. And that looked a lot more like the Pie Wagon we saw in the first few points of this game, Keith.
Absolutely. You do recall that opening point that feels so long ago where they just pinballed down the field into the end zone. As we see, it looks like Revolver going to the end zone to end the comeback bid. But going back to this game, that first point for Pie Wagon, so smooth. It's been a little while since we've seen one like that. But here they are, a great throw from Levis. Nice outside in and jumped in by Davey. Offense now playing without Dallywilder, so changing up a bit the personnel for Pie Wagon. But it's really going to be on the defense if they can get back into this game. As we see Davey jumping that score in. 9-5, GRUT leads.
So, Pie Wagon still with plenty to play for, and an awful lot of time to play for it in. 9-5, not insurmountable odds.
3, 2, 1.
And we'll see just how hungry they are as this one floating down to Cheered Ates. Immediately feeding Lauko van der Veen. A 2-5 with Menard breaking off from the pack, sweeping around. Ates can't get to it. He has Jan Jansen, marked very tightly by Millicent Crow. She sends it down to Menard. Ates tries to streak down the line for it. Instead she goes to Coulert.
Pie Wagon working hard to take away the deep options from GRUT and opening up some space for unders that GRUT is admirably claiming.
Ates swings that one. And unfortunately, Jan Jansen, it looked like she collected it initially, but gravity and the ground had other ideas. Though there is a foul.
Uncontested foul back at the throw, so I think that Stoddard will, or excuse me, Jansen will sub out for an injury. GRUT will maintain possession.
Yeah, there is.
And we will hit the rewind button on the status in this game.
Lola Dam coming in for Jansen from the D line. Not a bad cutter to be able to bring into your game.
No, she's only collected 3 of the last 4 GRUT goals. So, you know,
Sure, she'll be
just
looking
her
to make it
average
4.
contributor.
Of course. Sure, aren't teams stuffed with players of Dam's quality?
It was 7-6 and it's really great to take that and then break it down the back.
So you see Cheered Ates. Ever the steadying force. Marshalling his troops. Coulert, like you say, taking advantage of those picks.
Yeah, you can see Coulert's undefended as a switch downfield to try and take away a deep shot has freed her from the defense, and dangerous position to be in with a thrower of Coulert's acumen, and here she goes.
Sending that one to Lauko. Reeve is in the area, but misreads it, and Lauko is able to just take his time and catch it.
Van der Weeden getting the better read there on Coulert's hanging backhand, and she loves that back shoulder throw. Reeve outsized there, but unintimidated. But unfortunately for her, not able to quite get the best line on the disc.
No, they certainly breed them tough in Australia, as they would have to, considering that country's proximity to the sun. So now, 10-5 down, receiving the disc. Pie Wagon fighting for their lives and a place in the quarterfinals, that rarefied air.
So again, I'll posit my theory, my philosophy, I guess, on offense and defense and ultimate. Offense protects your opportunity to win the game. Defense attacks your opposition's opportunity to win the game. And since they're in this hole, the offense can do little besides give the defense a chance to get them back into this game for Pie Wagon. So you just have to go out there and do your job. Give your defense a shot at getting you back into this game.
Channeling a little bit of Bill Belichick, one of the great coaches of America. Never a bad man to take a few lessons from as Davey plays it down the line to Folks. And Folks goes with a high release floating backhand. Ort can't get there in time as it is well taken in by Chris Stoddard. And every now and again we see those flashes of brilliance that speak to the true greatness that Pie Wagon can achieve.
Pie Wagon with another nice offensive hold. They have been using the deep game effectively for most of this one, and you can see why when they have skills like Folks being able to find Stoddard downfield. That is their 4th score on a Huck this game. That doesn't include anywhere a Huck got them to the red zone and they finished it off with an easy throw. I seem to recall a little high release backhand involved in one of those. But again, you see the kneeling when the Pie Wagon defense goes out there. Maybe their entire defensive unit, everybody who might play, goes out, kneels. I don't know if it's a show of solidarity. I don't know if it's so everyone can hear the instructions, so no one misses out on important information and direction. But whatever the strategy,
he's like right in front of it.
It is a unique one, not one I've seen from many other teams.
It also provides an opportunity for those players who will be taking place on the sideline to match up with those who will be on the pitch and provide a singular voice. Pie Wagon like to keep their defenders as informed as possible. Communication the key to stifling defense. Information is integral to disrupting your opponent's offensive flow. As Lauko van der Wieden, he just looks so casual, so flippant at times. With that disc in hand, Menard now plays it to Colert. Goes for the high release, but it is well D'd up by Holly Reeve, and they are continuing their private war.
I can't get enough of that matchup, Morgan. I really can't.
We don't have too many young women who are able to match up with Fleur Coulert's, but Holly Reeve certainly proving she is one of them. A stellar player.
Not familiar with Reeve coming into this tournament, but at 19 from one of the premier ultimate countries in the world, how can you not want to keep an eye on a young star like this going toe-to-toe with an equal match as that one goes into the end zone?
Magnificent throw from Liang King. Straight into the end zone to Tim Hayes. Brilliant stuff, and Pie Wagon able to get the break back. You have to imagine a woman of Reeve's caliber and character will be a name we will be saying for many more years to come. As we look at one more look at her D, look at the reactions of that speed.
Well, earlier in the broadcast, I was discussing the hole Pie Wagon is in and the challenge they faced trying to come back against a team as accomplished as GRUT. And Reeve happened to be walking by, and she casually said, "Don't worry, we'll get it." And maybe she meant, "I'll get it. I'll go out there and get us a block so that we can turn around and get a break." The first of many they will need, however, if they want to get back in front of the Dutch.
Reeve putting the team a little bit on her back in that moment, but wearing it well. As now Pie Wagon have closed the gap slightly. They will need significant further effort to keep this going. The wind picking up a little bit, becoming ever so slightly more influential. As now Lauko van der Wieden awaits. Lets the disc touch the ground. Unwilling to make a similar mistake to as Pie Wagon did earlier in the game. Urt collects it on the near sideline. Will he huck it? He'll certainly think about it. But instead, an arcing, blading backhand to the opposite sideline, allowing Janssen to huck it to Lauko van der Wieden. And look who's down there to try and contest. But once again, Reeve unable to get there, and van der Wieden just picking his spot and collecting the disc.
Okay, it's unfair of me to talk about Reeve on a play where she didn't get the block and an excellent throw from Janssen. I mean, having him and Ort out there, it's like having two Orts or two Janssens. They feel like clones of each other. Long, lanky, powerful, aggressive throwers. And Ort says, I don't have a deep shot. Why don't you give it a shot? Tosses it over to Janssen. Janssen boosts it to van der Wieden, who starts to play behind the disc. We've seen him get downfield many times to get there. But again, we see Reeve challenging one of the male players on this team, and she's gotten the better of them once and been really close on both of these other contests, but not quite able to line it up.
Does seem to be a reaction to the trapping defensive style Wagon were trying to do. Lauco recognizing it, Van der Wieden going deep from the handling position. Reeve sticking around to try and influence things. Perhaps another contender for best player you hadn't heard of coming into the tournament, sitting alongside Lachlan Wise of Juggernaut, who was oh so impressive earlier today, or earlier in the week.
Yeah, I was sad to see his squad eliminated from bracket play, removing my chance to see him in a big game.
As now Tim Levis centers it into the middle, and Davey puts a beautiful floating one. Ort's going to try and close the gap, but once again Stoddard is able to take it down, and you want to talk about battles. Stoddard, admittedly the throws have been to his advantage, but has gotten everything sent his way despite the best intentions of the aggressive Benjamin Ort defense.
Stoddard making his presence felt in the air as he gets his third Huck score of the game and third total score.
I think Ort is normally accustomed to being able to give that slight bit extra space to the receiver he's marking, and Stoddard is saying, if you give me a step, I'm going to take 20.
Well, Ort is still pretty young. I mean, this is a guy whose career is in a place where he's still growing, and I imagine when you're one of the best players in your area, you're young, you get a sense that, like, you're kind of invincible. I mean, teenage boys have a reputation for feeling like they're invincible anyway. But coming to a tournament like this one is a chance to learn how much more growing you have to do. And it's a great lesson for him to take back and to inspire him to work even harder, because there is just a fountain of talent within that young man.
As now GRUT on the offensive end sends it to the middle. Van der Wieden to Ates. There's a brief slip, but Volt Janssen unable to capitalize on it, instead opting to come back under at speed.
Nice help by the handler defenders to poach, but now Janssen with a chance to throw a high one.
And Reeve always had the position on Coulertz. Janssen's patented step back, arcing bladey backhand hook coming up too short, as Reeve has been in step with Coulertz every minute of this game, every meter.
Playing both ways, handling after the turn.
The lightning quick throws of Wagon setting up another beautiful deep shot. It's floating, but it will not hang long enough for Daisy Ewan to get underneath it.
Reeve a little too much power behind that one. Great run and great recognition. I like the way the break side motion, the little dish to Reeve, sets up power position throw where the defenders are out of position and out of sorts, but not able to connect on that one.
So now GRUT with another shot at their offensive hold. Coulertz pops it back to Van der Wieden. He has Ates, decides against it. Sends it to Janssen. Down the line, smoothly collected. And popped on again. As Coulertz launches a huck. Van der Wieden there, although there seems to be some kind of call.
Coulertz has been mostly well defended enough that she hasn't been able to get off a lot of deep throws, and here taking the opportunity to put one up. Difficult in this small lane, but she's such an exceptional thrower that even at difficult context, not enough to prevent her.
Coming in stalling 3.
Saying stalling 3.
Sideline, please.
Simply a discussion about when to come in after the pick downfield. Deflected catch there from Van der Wieden.
Excellent stuff as Ates almost macking it along to Van der Wieden. Coming back under and collecting the disc himself. Back into the middle. Van der Wieden pops it. Janssen keeping the swing going to her brother. Walt Janssen back into Van der Wieden, and this is nice swinging offense from GRUT. So difficult to stop.
These marks have to be able to settle something in, although a huge blade and just a tremendous grab. Walt Jansen going upstairs for that one. Maybe all the way into the attic, maybe onto the rooftop.
Well, did you know in Amsterdam they're not allowed to have buildings higher than 4 stories? It's why everything is so compact. That disc was both of those things, high in the air in a compact space. But look at the athleticism of Jansen going and getting it.
Maybe they don't allow buildings that high because Walt Jansen might scale them. He just leaps to the top of that one, a very difficult grab. Van der Veeden, I don't know if he said, oh, it's Walt, I'll just throw anything. Doesn't matter.
It does seem like that's their approach at times. Their ethos is trust your receiver, and that is something they continue to do. There was doubt introduced in the early exchanges of this tournament as they fell 3 times. But maybe that did the charm, as since then they have gone from strength to strength. This Pie Wagon team is not one to be taken lightly.
Lorcan, do you think that the waiting matchup with Wildcard is extra motivation for GRUT?
I think if you were to ask them, they'd say we are focused on this game, this point.
Of course. But I'm asking you.
Yes, well, if you were to ask me, I would say yes, of course it is. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I think they've wanted another shot at Wildcard since Wildcard caught that point to beat them 15-14. And in lieu of the existence of time machines, their only option was to plow forward. And it would seem Destiny herself has decided to reward them, though we should not speak so passively of Pie Wagon. They've got the throws, they've got the athletes, although right now they seem to have a problem. As that one was dropping, and Davey couldn't get down low enough to collect it in time. And a huge huck hurtling out of the hands of Koemans and ripped down from the sky by Benjamin Ort.
A skyscraper there from Koemans, and the gunslinging ways of GRUT bear delicious fruit.
Leaving the defense moot.
Justin, I mean, that was just a tall task, and Ort sees it the whole way and brings that down with vicious force.
Nick Koemans showing it's not just his clothes that are flashy, but it might just be every other aspect of him as well.
Well, that's a break that could prove fatal for Pie Wagon here. Very even second half, but the Dutch side has had just enough advantages here after a run to end the first half. But even play is just not enough to get Pie Wagon back in front.
As here they come again. There's one thing Pie Wagon don't know how to do, it is give up. As they will continue to push, fighting until sundown if allowed. As Davey with the disc thinks about the deep shot and lets it go. He's got who else but the imposing Stoddard underneath it. A little bit of contact between him and Steneker, but quickly resolved, and Stoddard is quite the receiver himself.
Stoddard has been a force in the deep lanes. He scored 3 of the last 4 goals for Pie Wagon, including all 3 of their recent O-line holds, and every one of those has come on a deep shot to the big man.
So here we take another look at it. Davey, so assured, so central to their offense, and Stoddard going and getting it and just rolling off the contact as well. No problem at all.
Got one gloved hand, one bare hand, and goes up with the bare hand. So score 1 for the anti-gloves team.
A team I myself, I'm wholeheartedly a supporter of.
No gloves for Lorcan, huh?
No gloves for Lorcan. Gotta keep it raw. I just find that it affects you too badly when you've got the disc in hand and you're trying to throw things.
I'm in the middle right now. I am open to either side. I just recently tried gloves for the first time, and I enjoyed the grip, especially on these hot days. Keep the sweat off of the disc. So even if the sweat gets inside your gloves, you're not touching the disc with it. But I understand wanting the extra points of contact with the disc to have a better feel for it.
As now, GRUT starting to feel themselves. Gerdates plays it down the line. Fleur alert. Moving Reeve, trying to dislodge her. She has been a dogged defender all game long. Vanderbeek. Back into the middle to Ates. Kullertz. And a call downfield of a pick. Or everybody's about to start dancing to the YM. No, it was a pick. It was a pick.
Wagon struggling to stop the horizontal resets that GRUT has been using. GRUT having an easy time getting that stall count back to 0 and changing field position because of the resources having to be dedicated to stop plays like this.
And Kullert's able to get it on the second attempt. It looked like Reeves had done enough, but she clasps at the dying disc and puts her team within 1 point of the quarterfinals. 14-9.
Kullertz's reputation well earned as a playmaker, and this is a tough one. See the shot go up, 2 players in chase. Reeve, it looks like has it, but it's just a little bit too tall. Kullertz, however, also can't collect it on the first attempt, but stays with the play. Brings in the second one, and now GRUT just 1 goal away from advancing to the quarterfinals for that fateful rematch.
That's true.
Wagon will need a hold and 5 breaks. But the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step as they look to keep their feet firmly below them and their eyes fixed on the future. This high arcing pull, landing dead in the back corner. GRUT want to end it right now and trying to put a lot of pressure on this Wagon offense. Davey pops it back. Lavis. Davey. Down the line to Stoddard. Rare occurrence where he gets an under. Somewhat unexpected. Jess Stoddard. Lays it down to Greening. Back into Jess Stoddard.
Stoppage in play here, a pick downfield.
Let's go!
Players still discussing the pick, or it may have been a foul downfield actually that was called. So requiring a little more back and forth. Spirited exchange though, as expected.
And a huge bid from Ort, but he gets nothing but air on that one. Out wide to Davey. Expansive in his retinue of throws. Goes with the easy under this time. Eliza Greening. Looks to get it to Lavis. Captain to captain, and Ort is really starting to throw himself around. You'd think it was Universe Point the way he is dedicating himself to trying to cover and stop Tim Davis. A wonderful catch as that disc was thrown behind Gina Hill. Wagon. It does seem like it's a lot harder for them to get this disc into the end zone, although they are staying patient, staying conservative. Lavis, high release flick. Hill looks to pop that one to the end zone, but unfortunately overthrows her captain Greening. Although there is a foul on the throw.
Hill looking to bend that continue into that back corner for Greening, but contact, it seems, may have knocked that disc a little bit higher than anticipated. Wagon transitioning into a vertical set.
Again, Hill looks to go with the round backhand break and gets it to Davey. So, 14-10. Wagon were able to hold their nerve. It took them a while, but they did it flawlessly, scoring the offensive point.
Great fundamentals there from Hill on the around, just stepping through the mark. One of my adages is if whoever has their foot furthest outside wins. In that replay, you can see Hill getting her outside foot past the marks, allowing her to step out and deliver a clean throw right into the hands of Davies.
No, I feel like I've learned quite a lot being here in the booth with you, Keith, to the point where I'm almost tempted to go back out there and play. But then I throw around a little bit with some of my teammates from Pelt who are over here at the tournament, and I remember how much work you have to put in. And I think I'll stay up here where it's cool and you're not in direct sunlight.
Surely most of these athletes have had to put in hours and hours and hours, days, weeks, months of their lives into building the skill sets required to compete in this caliber of competition. I don't think that they knew it was going to take them to Lebanon, Ohio one day.
But they always dream, and you have to consider how young a lot of these players are, that all those months, all those years, is a substantial percentage of their lives.
Plenty of young talent on both sides here, and it makes you feel like it's not the last we're going to hear from them. And we'll get another look at this wonderful battle.
And Reeve able to get there, but for Floor, normally she's quicker or at least able to jump higher than most of her combatants. But once more we find ourselves singing the praises of this young Australian, Holly Reeve.
What is it with these Aussies that I've never heard of, just stealing my heart?
Well, they certainly are excellent as Fleur Collert looks to get one back. Holly Reeve launching it deep. She's got Stoddard underneath it. Ort against Stoddard, but Ort gets one back against the man who's bested him so far.
A rivalry on each side of the disc. Sign me up for more of this.
I agree with you. I certainly hope we will see these matchups time and time again as GRUT look to bring this particular encounter to a close. Janssen cuts under. Ort hits her with the swing. Not a lot of downfield movement for her. Ort sits in the dump position. Stoddard staying off him. Atez. No stranger to a deep shot himself. Van der Wieden goes from Leninga, thinks about it.
Really
dumps.
Really deep stack right now from GRUT. It's a contested catch there by Collert.
Floor Collert. Back to Ort. And he puts the blade over the top to Lauko van der Wieden.
Often referred to as an OYO throw here in America. Stands for OIO, outside in, back.
Well, oi vey at that OIO as van der Wieden chases it down and puts his team into the quarterfinals of the World Championships. Magnificent stuff from the young upstarts. Heartbreak for the Australians who gave it everything they had, and what a thing that was to see.
Well, if the GRUT Astoria Worlds is a movie, we are headed to what feels like the climactic scene, the chance at redemption as they will face Wild Card in the quarterfinals in the mixed division. You can't draw it up any better.
This is what makes sports so unique, so engaging, so powerful. A credit to both sides as Newcastle's Pie Wagon from Australia fall 15-10 to GRUT from the Netherlands.
And you mentioned our conversations about ultimate strategy, tactics, culture, making you want to get back on the field. Watching these tremendous athletes, it makes me miss playing. I want to strap on a pair of cleats, move to Newcastle and try out for Pie Wagon next year. It's on my mind. I can't help it because we've seen so much great ultimate. This was a wonderful effort from the losing side. They gave up that big run, and you saw just the power, the raw power and talent of this GRUT team on display with that big run, and really an impressive effort from both sides. But it is GRUT who will move on in this bracket.
Both teams never stopped shooting, never doubted themselves. And GRUT will go on to the quarterfinals to try and get that sweet taste of revenge against the Americans, the bad guys, because the game's over and I'm gonna now go back to being subjective. Wild card. Thank you very much for joining us here at Ultiworld. We will bring you continued coverage in print, well, in digital print, with review articles feature pieces, insight, and all the highlights and top quality content you look for from these World Championships. I have been Lorcan Murray. I've been joined by Keith Rayner, and we will see you tomorrow for the action continues.